The Monster of Canterlot, Chapter 50. I don't know what happened. Griffon had always been friendly and, at times, as affectionate as anyone would be with their own family. He would hug me and laugh and take time to teach me things that a griffin would teach their chicks. Now, though, he seemed to be different. He wasn't being rude to me, but he was suddenly unapproachable. The rest of his family wasn't being any friendlier. Outside the dining hall, no one seemed to have any time for me. Even the guards insisted I stay within my quarters, only allowing me out long enough to get a book from the library. The weirdest thing about it all? No one would tell me why. I mean, I know I'm supposed to be in prison, but that was really only meant to be for the look of the thing. I mean, if Gilda had started a fight with another griffin instead of foreign nationals, she would have been simply told not to break anything too expensive. It wasn't until something unthinkable happened 4 days into my isolation. The feathers I keep around my neck at all times changed. The ones given to me by Celestia, Luna, and Cadence lost their magic and their exuberance. As they each faded to duller versions of themselves, the ones Twilight gave me seemed to explode in tone and power. This raised questions I needed answers to. "Griffon! I need to speak to you! Now!" I roared as I pounded on the door to his office, causing it to rattle the hinges. At that moment, I was willing to knock it off the wall, and probably could. "Christopher, you need to stop breaking my door and return to your quarters." "No, something's wrong with my mom. I need to get back home." "Are you talking about that Tyrek guy that's stealing all the magic of Equestria?" The door I was recently banging on swung open and was filled with an angry King Griffon. "Philia!" "What? What? My home is under attack and you didn't tell me?" I think I should go." Philia started to back away. "Stay right there, young lady. Christopher, your mother ordered me to keep you here and not to tell you anything about Tyrek, because she knew you'd want to go and try to help everyone there. But you can't. If Tyrek gets a hold of you and drains your magic, you will die." "So your plan was to leave me locked up and in the dark while Tartarus knows what happened to my family?" "No, it was our plan. Your mother insisted I keep you secured here, while you will be kept safe. I decided to keep you in the dark and allow you to roam free-ish. And what would stop Tyrek from coming here? My country is filled with predators trained as warriors. Anyone would have to be a fool to attack it. Also, the only large source of magic here is you. So long as Discord doesn't inform him of you, there's nothing here for him to be interested in." "Discord? Why would he tell Tyrek anything?" "Because he's turned on Celestia. He's been helping Tyrek drain magic from all over it." "And I'm only hearing about this now? I'm going home." "No, you can't go home," Griffon ordered me. "It's far too dangerous for you there." "It's too dangerous for anyone there. I have to help. I have to help my family." I turned and started to run down the hallway. "Guards, stop him!" Guards seemed to come out from the walls to get in my way. I knew that they would be no match for me, if I had my ring, that is. If I were to ride purely on my strength and skill, I might be able to take 5 before they simply started to remove pieces of me. Right now, though, I didn't care. Move or be moved! I started to flex my fists as my vision began to fill with red. Once again, I was willing to allow myself to lose control when they didn't even twitch. Something in my mind begged me to hold back, something that spoke in a very soft, sweet, and loving voice. "Take the prince to his chambers and lock him in!" I could hear the pain in Griffon's voice, though I don't know if anyone else did. The guards started to move in. "Just make sure you don't hurt him." "If you try to stop me, I will make you pay," I growled. They froze, probably out of confusion. I could feel my anger pulling my magic out. I tried to push it back down, but I couldn't. "Please, I don't want to do this." "Christopher, stop!" Griffon ordered. "No, I'm leaving, even if I have to go through your guards to do this." "Don't make me do this. I'm begging you." I wasn't listening anymore. I knew what I wanted, what I needed to do, and if I wasn't going to get help, I would do it on my own. I am leaving! Now! My Canterlot voice echoed through the halls. I'm sorry, Chris. Guards, lock him in the dungeon. Once again, I felt my magic well up inside me. I didn't fight it this time. I focused it all into my hand, just like Twilight taught me. I leveled my arm, and I pointed toward the wall and flexed my wings to prepare for the long flight ahead. Griffon stepped forward to try to intervene once more. Stop! If you use that much magic, it could put you in a coma, and there's not enough magic here to restore what you lose. I looked into his eyes and could see the glow of my own on his face. Move. Please. Griffon didn't move. I could see he wanted to, but he stood his ground. I rotated my arm just a few degrees so he was no longer in the way. Without saying a word, or even breaking eye contact with Griffon, I fired off my magical blast, created a small hole in the stonework. I then stepped around the king, barely able to keep my knees from shaking at the loss of energy, and proceeded to widen the hole by hand, or rather, fist. As soon as I could fit through it, I climbed out of the wall and took flight. It took a lot of willpower to ignore the mournful roar coming from the cliffside castle. The next morning found me just inside the borders of Equestria. I was still weakened from the magical blast the day before, but I had been able to gather some more. Frankly, I was lucky I had been able to fly all this way. I was used to waking up with the sun, but today I thought I was late. As I stirred from my cloud bed, I stared at the horizon, begging for the sun to rise. When it finally did, it was clearly not the work of Celestia. Twilight's feather being so full of magic was suddenly making a lot more sense. I spread my wings and leapt from my cloud. I was thankful that Rainbow Dash had taught me to ride the rising hot air over the plains, while avoiding valleys with large streams and their cooler, denser air. I could just see Cloudsdale floating off in the distance. Strangely, I couldn't see any movement around the fluffy city, which was bizarre. Before long, I was landing on the end of Main Street. Being inside the city allowed me to confirm that it was indeed empty. Even the marketplace before me was devoid of life. It wasn't until I looked over the side to the ground below that I found the citizens of the Cloud Metropolis. There were dozens of tents and cooking fires and, far more importantly, ponies. I was ready to dive over the edge when I heard a voice coming from an open window. It was the voice of a scared filly calling out for her mommy. It was a request I couldn't ignore. I spread my wings and took off. I headed off as quickly as I could in the direction of the voice. Thanks to my superior hearing, it didn't take long to find my target. A small apartment building a few blocks away from the marketplace. I floated up to the window to find some pony I didn't think I would ever see this high off the ground. Dinky? Is that you? Inside the apartment was a large wicker basket with a tiny unicorn frantically looking around with tears in her eyes, knowing that stepping out of the basket and onto the cloud floor may very well mean her end. It was heart-wrenching seeing her like that. Thankfully, her face lit up when she saw me. Chris! She held her tiny legs out to me in a universal sign that begged for attention. I climbed in through the window and scooped her up and cradled the precious little pony. I don't know where my mommy is. You have to help me look for her. I promise I'll help you find your mommy, I told her while enacting legally binding contract of a pinning promise by performing the time-honored gestures and repeating the mantra. Now hold on tight. I'm going to fly down to the ground. There's a countdown there filled with ponies. Probably the best place to start. Okay, just don't drop me. I again performed the picky promise gestures. Once she was safely nestled against my chest, I climbed back out the window and made my way to the ground. When I landed in the middle of the camp, I was quickly surrounded by Pegasi, many of which were Wonderbolts, still in uniform. The only thing all the different ponies had in common, they all looked weak, drained, one notch above lifeless. They were also all lacking their cutie marks. Captain Spitfire, what's happened in my absence? You don't know? I'd hoped you would have news for us, Your Highness. Sorry, but I only just got out of the Griffin Kingdom last night. I only know a name. Then you are unaware of his power? I nodded. Tirek, with the help of Discord, was able to steal our magic. That includes our flight, too. Thankfully, those left in the city were able to glide down to the field here, where we were able to set up camp. Many wanted to go and fight. We are all too weak. I understand. You've done what you could, Captain. I'll make sure Mother knows. Thank you, my prince. She bowed deeply. Please, be careful out there. I will. I started to walk away, but remembered my adorable, scared little cargo. By the way, I'm looking for one Miss Derpy Hooves. Have you seen her? Yes, sir. She's just over that way, towards the middle of the camp. Spitfire pointed out the direction with the hoof. I nodded to her and began my search for a certain missing mother. Luckily, it was a short search. I soon heard the desperate cries of a mother for her missing child. I'd heard cries like that before, and in many nightmares since. I found Derpy frantically jumping, flapping her wings, crying heavy tears. Other Pegasi could only watch her in desperate attempts. I only barely managed to hold on to Dinky long enough to set the squirming filly on the ground. Dinky bolted to her mother's side, where she was scooped up and covered in kisses. Thank you, thank you, thank you! I was so scared I'd never see my little muffin again, Derpy said as she hugged me tight, squeezing Dinky between us. You're very welcome, Derpy, but there's no need to thank me. Any pony here would have done the same if they could have. What was she up there anyway if she couldn't walk on clouds? Derpy looked like I had just called her the worst mother in Equestria. Nothing could be further from the truth. I knew Derpy loved her daughter more than life itself, and would never knowingly put her in any sort of danger. T-Rex had stolen the magic of ponies from every town in outer Equestria, and was making his way toward Canterlot. Since Ponyville isn't far from there, and T-Rex doesn't have wings, I thought Dinky would be safe in Cloudsdale. Then, when he was getting close, we decided our best bet was to go on the offensive. You didn't know he could take your flight? Not until it was too late. The ponies who were still up there were able to make their way down, but no pony knew Dinky was up there until it was too late to get her out. Then Celestia, you came along. I snickered. I'll do that. First I gotta find her, though. Before you go, I have some muffins here if you're hungry. It's the least I could do to thank you for saving my Dinky. Derpy, I have to be a fool to pass up an offer like that. Though I was smiling, it was only a mask I was putting on to help keep every pony else at least a little calmer. The flight seemed to take days, though in reality it was about an hour and a half. 90 minutes in the air, and now I had my feet firmly on the ancient cobblestone streets of Canterlot again. The once great city was now a ghost town. Well, almost. There were still a few citizens making their way from one building to the next, ducking into shadows as they went. For the first time since I arrived, I knew it wasn't me they were hiding from. Christopher! Christopher! In here, lad! I heard in a stage whisper. Fancy Pants was beckoning for me to join him in the alley. I looked around to make sure I wasn't being watched, though I already knew that the only creatures that would be watching me would also be too scared to do anything against me. Finding no one around, I ducked into the alleyway. Once inside the shadows, Fancy Pants led me to a dumpster. He tapped rhythmically on the side, and it slid to the side. Behind it was an Earth Pony guard and a series of steps. Your Highness! Thank Celestia you're okay. Shh! Keep your voice down, Fancy chastied. If T-Rex knows there is alicorn magic here, he will drain the life out of the prince without a second thought. Now please, close the entrance behind us. The guard nodded with a bit of a blush over his absent-mindedness. I patted him on the withers as I walked past. When we reached the bottom, Fancy tapped another rhythm on a seemingly normal brick wall. It too slid back and to the side. As soon as it was clear, I was tackled by a beautiful, light pink unicorn mare. The huzz was welcome, but on the verge of being painful. Christopher! Thank goodness! Hello, Flirt. I returned the hug. It's very good to see you. Where are we, by the way? Sir, this is an emergency bunker, a unicorn guard who looked about ready to crumble under the weight of his own armor informed me. Your mother and Prince Shining Armor ordered their construction after the incident during the wedding. There are only a half-dozen that are in operation right now. Unfortunately, we were unable to evacuate the citizens before T-Rex was able to take our magic. I knelt down before him. You've done well. Mother will be proud. That brought a small smile to his face. Do you know what happened to the rest of my family? Prince Shining Armor and Prince Blueblood were still in the castle, last I've heard. Princess Twilight's parents made it to a different bunker and are safe. Princess Twilight herself has gone back to Ponyville. As for the other princesses, no pony seems to know what happened to them, but we believe they are still alive. I let out a very quiet sigh of relief. Is it possible to get ponies out of the city? Yes, but only a hoofful at a time. Any more than about 8 would risk the lives of not only them, but every pony left behind. So, no then. How about supplies? Sir, on my way here, I passed Cloudsdale. The entire populace is living in a camp in the field under the city. They seem to be doing okay for now, but I know I don't have to tell you that that can't last forever. I'll see what I can arrange, my prince. Excellent. For now, though, I think you need to get some rest. I will, sir, but my shift won't be over for about another hour. You're a better pony than I. Only according to my DNA, the guard said with a smirk. I was going to retort, but I was interrupted by something far more important. Fluttershy's feather had lost its radiance. And that was when I felt truly helpless.